now let me introduce our next speaker, Mr. Andrew Joppa. Mr. Andrew Joppa is a retired professor of business and economics from Mercy College. He founded a master's degree program in organizational leadership and designed and taught graduate ethics courses for 15 years. He is a Vietnam veteran and would like Mr. Blumenthal to know he was really there. Please welcome Mr. Andrew Joppa.
How's that? Okay?
You do this for a while and hold it steady.
That's fine. This issue of being a Vietnam veteran has become more and more important to me as I...
Can I open this?
19.
You can.
Louder? Better? Okay. As a matter of fact, I go out of my way to make sure that people know I was Air Force, and I wasn't a grunt. I wasn't a Marine. I wasn't in the Army. I didn't really have to go through the nasty stuff. So when I hear anybody take credit for that kind of experience, it bothers all of us who were actually there. I'd like to make note also that tomorrow is the 66th anniversary of D-Day, of Normandy. I seriously doubt that anyone who risked their life or gave their life for this country ever did so in the pursuit of open borders. I don't think that was one of the qualifying characteristics of why our fighting people have fought and given their lives and sacrificed so much. My mother's maiden name was Gomez, which by government decree would make me a legitimate Hispanic. And believe me, in many cases, the government has tried to force me into those kind of roles. My other half is Ukrainian, so I've never felt any other title was necessary except I am an American. That seemed to be at the top of the heap already, so why should I try to go anyplace else? On October 30th, 2008, my grandfather's two nephews in Marrero, Louisiana, were shot to death. Were shot to death. Sort of a bad moment to have the speaker go bad on me, but in Marrero, Louisiana, Wallace and Buford Gomez, remember, they also would be qualified as Hispanics, were shot to death by 5 illegals through Central America. I absolutely believe that, in fact, if the federal government had really fulfilled their responsibilities at our border, that these two decent men would still be alive. By the way, let me make note that this story was not a story about Hispanics. This was a story about illegals. It is constantly cited that in some way this is an Hispanic issue. It is not an Hispanic issue. It is an illegal issue. That is our focus. That is our focus. There are few issues as important to the life of our nation as the integrity of our borders and the nature of our citizenship. These are the issues that define our identity and ultimately shape our future. With our nation at war, our ability to regulate and control our borders is a security matter of the highest importance, and yes, we are at war. 3,000 dead at the World Trade Center, 1,000 warriors in Afghanistan, 4,000 dead in Iraq testify to that. The massacre at Fort Hood by jihadist Nadal Malik Hassan, the murder of a soldier in Arkansas by jihadist Abdul Hakim Mujahid Muhammad, the near tragedy over Detroit created by jihadist Umar Farouk Abu Mahtab, a narrow escape in Times Square caused by the actions of terrorist jihadist Faisal Shahzad, and the sniper murder of 10 innocents by self-declared jihadist John Allen Muhammad. And by the way, most do not realize that this Virginia sniper and his ward Malvo were committed Islamic jihadists. I think you have to ask yourself why, with that being such a public declaration of John Allen Muhammad, that the mainstream media has not made that an obvious characteristic of why these 10 innocents died in Virginia. All of these distinct moments should remind us that we are at war, and the battleground includes America itself. If terrorists like these can continue to penetrate our borders, almost at will, the possible destruction could be catastrophic. The recent comments of Obama's terrorism czar John Brennan that jihad is a holy struggle, meaning only to purify oneself, demonstrates a profound ignorance or a chosen policy of this administration to deceive the American people. But America does not have to explain or justify why its borders should be closed. Sometimes we become so deeply immersed in explanation, we lose track of the fact that it's our absolute right to close our borders, regardless of reasons that we choose. In a like manner, I don't have to explain or justify who I invite into my home. It is my right to make that decision as I see fit. It has no other characteristic other than my preference. It is America's right to decide the characteristics and numbers of its immigrants as it sees fit. For a nation that fails to control its borders simply ceases to exist as a real nation. An unregulated border creates anarchy. America at its best, however, is a nation of law. At its best, we are not driven by the whims of a few ideological eccentrics in Washington. At our best, we are driven by our Constitution and our respect for law. If we disagree with those laws, we have a legal process in place to amend them. They should not be amended by the casual, misinformed fiat of a politician. Those who are sworn to uphold our laws and create the safety and integrity of our nation through secure borders have consistently turned their back on this basic legal responsibility. They have put themselves above the law. One state has finally said, we've had enough. The great state of Arizona, under the heroic leadership of Governor Jan Brewer, has stood up proudly and created a law that echoes existing federal law and still provides multi-levels of safeguards so that individual liberties are not violated. The law specifically states that police may not solely consider race, color, or national origin. It is as benign a law for a serious situation as you could possibly have. Arizona has suggested that if the federal government is not willing to do the job, Arizona stands ready and willing to help defend themselves and America. If only our national representatives were as committed to blocking the schemes of the open border advocates as is Arizona, most of these problems would have never occurred in the first place. It isn't even clear to me what in the Arizona legislation is controversial, and I've actually read it, if you can believe that. Wow! Yes, I know. It's startling. If we take seriously the idea that immigration laws are to be enforced, Arizona's measures seem rather modest. But Barack Obama thinks Arizona's effort to sustain the rule of law is irresponsible. Obama has said, I've instructed members of my administration to closely monitor the situation and examine the civil rights and other implications of this legislation. Perhaps President Obama should have also instructed them to actually read Arizona SB 1070. These Washington politicians are driven not by the best interest of American citizens in total, but rather by the potential of gaining a unified Hispanic vote, both through current members of the Hispanic community and future members that they anticipate through amnesty. Let me note at this point, I have far too much respect for the members of what the media collectively calls the Hispanic community to believe that they will vote in lockstep manner that will weaken America. The history of legal immigrants from the Latin world is too replete with accomplishment and patriotism for me to believe they would favor destructive illegality at our border.